everyone, and welcome back to What a Barb, a Polin podcast. I'm Obs, and this week I'm joined by Lecky, Beans and Veg, and we'll be having a little Tudum review. In our last episode, we brought you our initial reactions from Tudum weekend, but since then we've received new interviews and new articles that we're really excited to discuss together. So we've decided to drop this little bonus Tudum episode to capture a few of our reactions and theories about all the new crumbs that have come our way in the past few days. We'd love to hear your thoughts too, so once you finish listening to this episode, please come and join us over on Instagram and TikTok at WhatABarbPod, where we can all spiral together. So, Nicola was in Brazil, as we know, and she gave quite a few different interviews, and Penelope and Colin's characters in season 3 was brought up quite a lot. So in addition to everything we learned last week through the Shondaland article and through Kat Quinn, Nick was also giving a little bit more detail. So as she said last week, she told People magazine that Penelope's back to London and she's saying that she can't do it, she needs to find a husband, that she's a woman on a mission, she's ready to go, launch herself out into the marriage mart into a whole new way, and she wants a whole new look, and she gets it. She also said on the red carpet to another interviewer that Penelope has to step into her light and it's difficult. It's not so easy doing that. She kind of elaborated on Penelope's character a little bit more in another interview where she described Penelope as a really relatable protagonist because a lot of people have felt like her. She's someone in the shadows, misunderstood, not getting the attention they wanted, and she has that unrequited love. So to see her progression in this season and to play it was amazing. So I think what's interesting here is, again, she's tapping into the themes that we've heard about season 3 where Pen is going to be stepping more into the light. It's elaborating again on how ready she is this season to get out and find a husband.
That just makes me think of that shot of her outside of the Featherington house in Bath when she comes home and she's looking up at her house and kind of smiling and the light is hitting her face. Like she's just a woman on a mission, when she returns home, I think.
Yeah, like you're talking about the filming leaks from Bath from January this year, which we're pretty sure is Penelope returning home in episode 1. And I think it was interesting last year because we saw her at the end of season 2 very heartbroken, obviously, but then the last shot of her was that determination on her face as she started writing again. And so I think there was a question for a long time about how we'd find her when she came back at the beginning of the season. And I know that Nicola has said before that there's going to be a bit of a bitterness to Penelope, but when we saw those leaks in Bath, and we will put the pictures up on our social media, it's like you said, she had this smile on her face, she had this determination. And as Nicola said in the past week, she's coming back determined and she's ready to throw herself into it. Now, how well that's going to go, I'm sure we're going to find out. The synopsis reminds us that she's going to fail spectacularly, but she's starting out with good intentions. Nick also talked about how Colin's going to come back into the season, as she did last week. So she said that he's grown up a lot too, and that we're going to see them in a way that we've never ever seen them before. And that he's returned from his travels, he's been all over Europe, and he's become a changed man. So again, kind of what we were discussing last week about the way that Colin's going to return is going to be genuinely very different to how he did in season 2. I wonder how much off-screen development he's going to have and how we're going to convey that this year.
So in season 2, he comes back with a lot of internal conflict. Like he feels like he hasn't grown as a person and his travels haven't changed him at all. And in season 3, he does come back and he's changed. So it'll be interesting to see, if they address what realizations he had off screen and how that will play out in the first episode.
Yeah, and I guess we're not sure really as to how that will happen, but that's something.
Beyond his clothing, beyond his changed clothing to convey his his transformation.
Loosey-goosey, baby.
And I think what Nicola said a couple of times is that they've both grown up, so that they're going to come back to each other with a little bit of a different mindset than when they both left each other. And Penelope has to step into the light, but Colin also has to do that too, right? Because he has taken a bit more of a backseat in the past, but he's also returning and stepping into being a protagonist with them both. So Nick did share a bit about Pen and Colin as individuals, but I think the most exciting things we've heard this week as the interviews have been coming out is there's been a little bit more discussion about their love story and kind of the themes of this season and exactly how it's going to play out between them. So she told People magazine that season 1 was about passion, season 2 was about longing, and season 3 is romance all the way. It's just so romantic. There are a lot of moments on set where we'd film something and we'd turn around and everyone would be clutching their chests going, oh my God, it's that kind of love. She also told another interviewer, the kind of love that you see in the season literally just grabs your heart and squeezes it. As I think this was very exciting for us all to hear. because, you know, we've seen 2 seasons of them kind of struggling to find each other, the unrequited love, and hearing that it's going to be incredibly romantic and it's that kind of gorgeous love story is really exciting to hear.
Yeah, it made me want to weep. I'm just whenever she says things like that, it makes me so excited. And
same.
Just from the leaks that we did get and the clues we've kind of picked up on filming about how many balls and kind of great outdoor sequences and things they'll have, I think it'll be a really romantic, like, show-stopping type of season, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And I love that romance is really what's characterising it, which sounds a little bit silly, obviously. It's a show about romance, but like Nicola said, there's different shades of that and different energies with that, whether it's the passion of Daphne and Simon, or it's that kind of hidden yearning and longing from season 2.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we get so caught up in everything that's happened in previous seasons with Colin and Penn that we forget that how beautiful their love is when they're both fully aware and committed and in that relationship. I mean, it's called Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, the book that it's based on. But yeah, just hearing that the romance is so deeply at the part of it, and that it's that kind of really gorgeous, balanced love, it just makes my heart want to die.
Just watching the puzzle pieces kind of fit into place finally, it's just going to be so satisfying.
Yeah, I also like it too because I think a lot of us were concerned that it was going to be a really dramatic season, which I have no doubt that it will be. But to the point maybe where sometimes romance could probably be on the back burner, and to hear that, like, there's just so much love in this season, and I feel like besides just Polin, there's such an opportunity for other characters to experience it. Like, we will see Canthony finally being happy and in love. Like, you know, there are other aspects to the show too, which I think is going to be really great all around.
Nicola actually mentioned Canthony in one interview. She talked about how beautiful Simone's looks are and how gorgeous Married Kate is going to be styled, which we have seen a little bit of Married Kate in a leak or two, and she does look just stunning. But Nicola said that it's a whole new side for Canthony this year. Seeing them married is so cute and adorable. They still have their dynamic when they're married. The fans are going to freak. And it's like you say, this is... And what's nice is we're getting that previous couple back for this season, which we didn't really get with Saffron, unfortunately. And spoilers for filming leaks, but we also very heavily suspect that there's going to be another sibling love story in the mix. We're pretty sure that Francesca is going to meet and marry John this year. So you're going to kind of be surrounded with all these beautiful storylines taking shape and kind of weaving within one another. It's a season of love, y'all.
And Prudence and Dankworth, potentially, also.
Oh, my word. And Prudence and Dankworth. Beans, how excited are you?
It's a Prudank wedding.
That is the true love affair.
You guys, I'm so excited for Prudank. I'm so excited for Prudank. I'm their biggest shipper.
I think you created the ship. You sailed way before we even knew there was, like, a harbour to be found.
That's true, yeah. Well, okay. I think part of it was when I was reading their... Because I know that originally a lot of people, and still do, like, think that the Danks is going to be for Penn. But I just thought that his personality and his little blurb that they gave us, I think on Deadline or something, was very, like, it matches Prudence's energy too well. And I think obviously, okay, I'm not going to go too much into it, but, like, I think obviously Lady Featherington is just going to focus on Prudence because she has sort of written Penn off. Yeah,
and we're going to get Prudence in the mix. I mean, to be honest, the Finches were one of my highlights of season 2, for sure.
Cute.
Yes, cheese man.
Love everywhere. But I think what's so lovely about everything we're hearing about the romance side of it is that we've seen Colin be so oblivious for so long, which we all adore about him, and we appreciate that about their story, that that's part of their journey, right? But I think people who have read the books will appreciate how committed he is once he's all in. He always jumps in full on with everything he does. But I don't think the casual viewer who maybe isn't as familiar with their story is really going to be ready for how deeply he's going to love Penn. And I think that's going to be just beautiful to see between the two of them.
We know he's a romantic, so
they're both so the most
excited.
Romantic.
Colin, my wife, Bridgerton.
They're both the two most romantic characters, and unfortunately I think Penn has been knocked in that respect quite a lot after the end of last season. But watching the two of them finally find each other and be on the same balance as one another and love each other as deeply as they do, it's just so exciting. And I can't wait for the trailers. I can't wait for the poster. We're getting way ahead of ourselves, but it's been an exciting week. These are the crumbs that keep us going for months. We're eating it up this week. On the topic of actually adapting the books, some of the interviews that Nicola did this week also touched on how they've adapted the books as well. She said to people that it's really special and it stays true to the books. To Entertainment Tonight, she said it's a spicy season. It has a lot of stuff from the books that fans have expected and would like to make it into the show. Kat Quinn did some, I'm sure you saw them, but like the quick react videos where she'd like say a word that was very loaded within the fandom and get Nick's reaction. So to Carriage, Nick smirked and said rocking. When Kat asked her about the mirror, Nicola was adorable. She kind of blushed and she went, oh, come on, yeah. So once again, getting that mirror confirmation. And the third one, she said drawing room. And all Nicola would say to that is, my lips are sealed. I don't know which drawing room Kat was referring to, because there are two that jump to mind when I think about drawing room. Obviously, their first kiss happens in the Featherington drawing room, but then I initially thought of Violet's drawing room and the desecrated sofa. And so, who knows, it could be both. But it sounds like a lot of those key scenes that people have been really wanting to get in the series are going to make it in. And Nicola kind of said that she said it was really important to include book dialogue and scenes, and she talked about how receptive the executive producer, Jess Brownell, was to those ideas. So she said that Luke and herself were both very aware that fans wanted certain moments, whether it was a scene or a line. And she also said there was one time that she asked Jess if they could put a line in that referred to a line in the book. And it sounds like they included that. I wonder if that's Nicola's favourite line.
Yes, I think it is.
I can't remember what it is.
It's the "You're my mess." She mentioned it in like a cameo, I think, with the fan or something like that. That was her favourite line from the book, was the exchange "You're my mess." So I think she's referencing that, but I mean it could be anything, really.
I'm not going to lie. It's not one of my favorite lines, but I think when I see it in the show, I will probably melt. You know, it's one of those things where it's like if somebody said that to me in person, I'd be like, oh no.
Who are you calling a mess, bitch?
No.
I think they could play it really playfully.
Yeah, but seeing them say that, I'll probably cry.
Yeah.
Like just out of happiness, not out of sadness. Like, yeah, she is your mess. Oh my God.
And I think that's what, we will get to it in future episodes where we'll break down the synopsis for season 3. But a lot of people initially had quite a lot of shock when they read the synopsis because it felt such a sidestep from the book. But I think whilst the book and the timeline and the storyline feels very different, I think it's those kind of key moments and those kind of key themes that it's not a direct adaptation of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, but it's a direct adaptation of those moments between them and the way that they love each other and the way that their friendship is such an important part of such a foundational part of their relationship. It's going to be good. And then lastly, the last few crumbs that we've had of the past week, just a few behind the scenes crumbs. So she told Netflix that during one scene, Luke and Nick broke a piece of furniture. All bets on as to what I think it was a desk.
I'm already hot and bothered.
Do you think they'll keep that in? I would keep that in for the humor of it and just do like a cutaway. If it's like if it's a spicy scene, I would keep in the moment it breaks and then cut away to Cantony arguing or something, just for the humor.
Or like them laughing and it, that would be such a cute moment.
Yeah, because we want to see them have fun, right? I suppose it depends how good they both are at corpsing when things go wrong.
Anthony getting the bill from some furniture maker after, cut to it.
Well, he's going to be getting a big old mirror one of these days, is Anthony.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And then I think the most important piece of breaking news, it could have been its own episode, to be absolutely honest with you, but behind the scenes gossip, Nicola told an interviewer about a prank that she pulled on Luke Newton.
Yeah.
Incredible. if you haven't heard of this story, let us tell you now, and then please go off, listeners, and do your own research into what we're about to tell you, because your life will be better for it. So if you didn't know, Luke Newton used to be in a boy band called South 4. It was quite a few years ago. It was when he was much, much younger.
Yeah, so forgive him. It's fine.
Forgive him. If you go Google it, he was a young child. So Nicola found out that he'd been in this boy band and she thought it was incredible. So they were filming a ball scene for season 3. And obviously, we've heard before that they dance to real music, and it's not always the music that we see finally being on the scene, but
Same
they
counts.
kind of, in the moment, they have music with it. Yeah, so they brought him in to do the scene, all very normal. And then they started playing Lecky. What did they play?
Cougar Town. Well, I'm assuming it's Cougar Town. There are other South 4 songs out there, but Cougar Town is their hit song. This is hilarious. I'm going to die when they release it. Oh, because Nicola said that they are planning to release footage of this, and I'm going to die laughing. Yep. Good for Luke for being a good sport and letting them release it.
Yeah, it sounds like he took it well.
But I'm assuming that's going to be hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're told that it's coming.
Yeah.
We will get to see this moment. So.
The fans have demanded it.
I can't wait for the press tour.
Yeah, I think, I've rewatched a lot of the videos this week to kind of compile everything. And Nick did such a great job of fielding it all by herself.
She did amazing.
But I think it's going to be lovely to see them both out.
Yeah.
And anyone else who's available, get all of them out doing press. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I just think that Luke's boy band past is going to come up quite frequently for these things.
So it's kind of good that they addressed it right away in such a comical fashion.
Well, he did a podcast the other week for the show that he's in. So it was a theatre podcast, and it got brought up on that.
Poor dear boy.
We all have the things that haunt us in life, I'm sure one day this podcast will haunt us too.
Just as a personal point, like I get really frustrated when I watch interviews with the Bridgerton cast when they're only asked about the sex scenes and the spicy scenes, because we're so interested in the characters and everything. Yeah. At least this is something they can ask him about that's different than that. I mean, it's embarrassing in a different way, but it's still playful, and it sounds like he's moved past it and accepted it, so
it's fun.
Yeah, and if you're of a certain age, we've all had our dreams about having a YouTube career. I'm sure it'll be brought up when I'm famous.
But it sounds like they've had a lot of fun on set, and Nick did tell People magazine that they had one of the best times filming, and it's one of the best experiences she's ever had.
I didn't hear that. I love that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much everything from the Tudum press. We have officially survived Tudum 2023, and I'm sure in the next few months, in the coming weeks, we'll hear more and more and more. But it's been a big old week. There's been a lot to process, and we've made it. Since we're on the topic, now that we've had some time to process Tudum a little bit more, has anybody had any new thoughts, new theories on the photos, the stills, anything Nick said?
I think that you have a new theory.
I maybe do. So, if you recall, in our last episode, we had a bit of a chat about, it's, the fourth still of the, as if you don't remember this life-altering still, of them in the dark, where Colin is kind of like leaning towards Pen a little bit. And there's been a lot of discussion about where they are, when they are. We know what episode it's from, but there's a lot of the context that is making our heads spin. And I think it was Beans and Lecky last week who had done a bit of digging, and your theory is that it maybe took place at the Danbury Ball, because there was some lightening of the photos, trying to figure out where it was filmed. In the past week, I've kind of gone back and had a little look and tried to do some digging myself. And if you look really, really, really closely, and we'll try and put this on social media, although you will just be squinting at your screen, I think if you look carefully, there's some patches of wallpaper next to Colin. Like there's one just by what looks to be a frame of a door or a window, and there's one just over his shoulder. And I saw this, and I think that they're not outside. I think that Penelope is in a window, in front of a window or in front of a doorway, but they're both inside. And if you can kind of imagine, like the camera is facing Penelope, so it's looking out into the outside, but they're in a room. So I tried to figure out where the room might be, and I don't know if I'm right. This is me just spiraling and clowning, so forgive me. But I did some digging into their filming locations, and I have a little theory that this was filmed at Basildon Park, which has been used for Penelope's house before.
At the end of season 2.
At the end of season 2, yeah, it was used a lot for the big Featherington Ball. A lot of the other interior shots at Featherington House is done in the studio on purpose-built sets. So I could be very wrong, but if you look, and we will put some visual aids up, there's a room called the Green Room, over at Basildon Park, and it's covered with this green metallic wallpaper that's quite distinctive. And I have a feeling that they're in that room, and they could be in Featherington House, and it could be after the ball where they're being confronted, or maybe Basildon is doubling as a different ball location. But yeah, my theory this week is that they're inside, that they're not outside, but I'm sure we'll find out in the future.
I'm fine being wrong, and I'll tell you why I like this theory. If it is at a ball, that means that they kind of sneak off alone and have this little moment.
Yeah.
And if it's at the Featherington House, they're
better, yeah.
That's a whole nother layer of scandalous if he goes to see her.
Yeah.
I'm okay being wrong, just because it sounds like a good moment.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a lot of chatter and discussion about where it is. It's definitely captured the fandom's attention, like, where is this taking place? The lighting is definitely really confusing. You know, it looks like they're outside, but this is stage lighting.
So 2 things is, one, I'm going to figure out where that wallpaper is from. You know me. It may not be next week, y'all, but I will figure it out and we'll bring it back up. 2, I was originally leaning to Danbury, but somebody on Reddit pointed out that it is in the 2nd episode, which wouldn't necessarily make sense time-wise because the Danbury ball is usually in the 1st episode. And when I did a closer look, I also saw the wallpaper. So I'm always, like, open
We're working on it.
Yeah, I'm always open to being wrong and reading new theories and seeing what everybody else has to say.
Yeah, we got the time.
We've got 6 months ahead of us, right? We've got past the time somehow.
Exactly. We're open to theories, babes.
The other thing that I think, again, one of our Reddit friends mentioned, so last week we talked about how we found out where Colin was going to travel to. So he's going to go to France, Spain and Italy, which was super exciting because it's something we've all been wondering for a really long time. But one of our friends pointed out to us that gives him more material for his journaling. If he is going to be a writer, like he was in the books, then obviously he'd only previously been to Greece, which is a nice trip, but is it enough to make a career on? But now, having been to 3 separate countries, he's almost building that travel portfolio. So it's giving, like, I want writer Colin so badly, and I've worried for a while that we're not going to get him. So this kind of detail, I'm clinging to it.
It seems like we could. They've hinted that this is like the book.
Also, if Penn wasn't writing to him, maybe he was doing a lot of writing himself.
Because, you know, any creative person needs that creative outlet, right? And I think he really found that he didn't recognise it as a creative outlet between season 1 and season 2, but he had that support system, and he clearly loved writing to her and found that a very rewarding, introspective experience. And he probably went away thinking that he was going to have that creative outlet again. And then the absence of that, I also agree, Lecky. I love that idea that once he realised that Penn wasn't writing back to him, for whatever reason he conjured up in his head to justify it, I think he still needed that place to channel it. So I love the idea that instead of writing her letters, he's put it into his journal. And in a way, the journals are his way of still being connected to Penelope through their writing. So I think that she could still discover his journals like she does in the books. Obviously it's not going to be a massive revelation that he's a writer to her in the books because he's written so many letters to her before, but maybe this secret side of him still gives them that space for, I didn't know that you did this. So clinging to writer Colin with everything I am.
Same.
And then lastly, before we get into our episode rewatch of season 1 episode 1, do you remember the question that I left you all with last week? I gave you a little bit of homework to come back with.
Yes.
Nick mentioned that it was going to be the most scandalous season with affairs popping up all over the place. I want to know, what do you think is going to be the most scandalous affair that's going to take place? Is Violet going to get her garden watered and raked and ploughed? Do you plough a garden? I suppose it depends how big your garden is.
I couldn't come up with anything interesting, so I'm just going with the Violet theory.
Violet's gonna get plowed.
Yeah, I think it's Violet.
You're all saying Violet?
Yeah, I think Violet.
Yeah, she will be ploughed.
I mean, we've been told that the Queen Charlotte storyline, or at least part of it, is going to be carried into season 3, and I think that is a kernel of it.
That's what's going to be carried over, yeah.
Because we saw that Violet is on that journey, and there's also that conflict with Lady Danbury, and I think to make that, more explosive, I feel like Violet may have an affair with somebody from Lady Danbury's past. Adjoa has mentioned that a person from her past returns in season 3. I don't know if it'll be one of her former lovers or maybe an illegitimate child or something, but it's just going to be some sort of scandalous affair, I think, between Violet and that person, who I believe is Marcus Anderson, and I think that his connection to Lady Danbury is what makes it scandalous.
A bit of Violet vengeance.
Oh my god.
Is this going to be Violet getting her own back? Lady Danbury banged her dad, so I will bang her son.
Lecky, how is Marcus described in the casting announcement?
He's described as a charismatic presence who lights up any room he enters, attracting the notice of certain matriarchs in the town and the ire of others. So I think the matriarch whose attention he attracts is Violet, and the ire is going to be Lady Danbury's.
Lady Danbury.
Yeah.
Let's bring it.
But what if it's also a Featherington Bridgerton off? Not only are Colin and Penn getting together, the two matriarchs of the families are fighting over this fine-ass man.
Oh, I would pay money to see what Portia v. Violet.
And then imagine the fucking family dinner after he picks out whose garden he wants to plow.
Honestly, give Polly Walker as much material
We're here for it.
as she wants.
I love Polly Walker.
She's amazing.
There's a fan account that is also obsessed with Polly Walker.
On TikTok?
And I'm not saying it's, I'm not saying it's me, but I am saying I'm a fan.
So we're all going Violet, causing scandals in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Violet and Marcus.
And Penn's going to have to write about it, or have to think about writing about it. Oh, God.
She's gonna have to write about her mother-in-law's sex life.
Colin's going to be traumatized. Beautiful. We're all here worried that Colin's going to be mad at Penn for Marina and all that. No. We're going to go new levels in season 3. He's going to be like, why did you write about my mother being ploughed?
Yeah. Like, I did not need to know about her rose bush.
I like how we've chosen ploughed as the word.
I'm so sorry to everyone.
Sorry, that was my bad.
You know what? I didn't choose the gardening metaphors. They chose us.
Yeah. And plowing is something you do in a garden.
True enough.
Do you plough a garden? I feel like these people are rich enough to have big enough gardens that need ploughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lecky, do we have any updates on the Necklace Truthers of 2023?
For my necklace truthers out there, we did a little poll on Instagram, by the way. I think the results were that 70% or so believed in this necklace theory, and 30% didn't.
So this is the theory that Colin has brought back Penn a necklace from his travels, right?
I would still be open to him buying her necklace when he gets back, but I do think maybe this particular charm necklace would represent the 3 different places he visited, as you speculated in our last episode. However, going back and looking at the photos, in the market still, she's wearing a necklace with like 3 I think there's only like 1 like gem on it, but there's like 3 pieces to it also. So it could be that necklace. And I just wanted to point out that the gem on that is green. And we know from season 2, I'm going to go into the weeds here.
Go for it.
But Queen Charlotte mentions that her favorite necklace has emeralds, which we saw in Queen Charlotte. But Golda also let it slip while promoting Queen Charlotte that emeralds play a role in season 3. So, I mean, that green necklace could be hinting at that storyline, and that might be why Nicola blacked it out, is what I was thinking potentially as well.
So we have multiple candidates for the necklace.
But I would prefer that Colin got her something on his travels or to represent his travels, just because I feel like that's sweeter. But yeah.
Necklace truthers, hold out.
There's more necklace theories out there. If you're a necklace truther, you can hop on one or all of them or none of them. That's fine.
I just thought of something so corny, though.
What?
Okay, the necklace should have 4 gems on it. No reason. Just, this is my thoughts. It should have 4 gems because the last place he should travel is into her heart.
Oh my god, I didn't know where that
didn't know where you were going with that.
I didn't know where that was going.
Oh my god, you guys are not always thinking about doing it.
I was just thinking of that, the quote where Portia says she sends him Colin wants a honeymoon in foreign parts, and I
Oh, God.
Anyway.
I really think it's time to wrap up this segment so we can stop talking about ploughing and travelling. Listeners, I'm so sorry. It's very hot where we all are, and I think the heat is getting to us.
Yeah.
So before we end this week's crumbs, Lecky, where can everyone find us?
You can find us at What a Barb Pod on Instagram and TikTok.
And you can find us spiralling out of our damn minds on reddit.com/r/Polin Bridgerton.
And that's it for our bonus Tudum episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again really soon with the first in our Polin rewatch series, where we'll be breaking down everything Pen and Colin from Season 1, Episode 1, Diamond of the First Water. Until then, take it away, Beans.
Das violin. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.